First up, though, is the Territory on the way to fixing its booze problem. Back in October 2018, the Northern Territory government introduced a minimum floor price aimed to curb the intake of cheap wine for problem drinkers. The law meant retailers had to charge a minimum of $1.30 per standard drink for any takeaway grog. That sent the price of cask wine soaring from $10 to $30 for a 2-litre cask. As you've been hearing, the government released data today saying the minimum floor price is working, citing a reduction in alcohol-related hospital admissions in Alice Springs and Tennant Creek at a massive 37% and 25% respectively. Marie-Clare Boothby is the opposition spokesperson for tourism and hospitality. Good morning. The CLP has long campaigned to scrap the minimum floor price on alcohol sales. Does this 37% reduction in alcohol-related harm admissions to the Alice Springs Hospital put that argument to bed?
Good morning, Adam, and to your listeners as well. Look, Adam, I've seen the release from the Chief Minister today, and I would describe it as suspicious at a minimum and even deceptive. And the reason I say that is because the report itself only measures from quarter 1 of 2013 to quarter 3 of 2019. So if that minimum floor price was introduced in 2018, that only gives us a measure of the first year of the floor price. I mean, you only have to walk around in Darwin and Palmerston to see that we still do have a massive problem here in the Northern Territory when it comes to alcohol.
Well, indeed, the report says that there's been a massive reduction in these hospital admissions in Alice Springs and Tennant Creek, but in fact, it hasn't made a single difference in Darwin and in Palmerston.
Yeah, well, we're only measuring the first year of it being introduced, and this is before COVID. During and following COVID, we know that crime, that alcohol-related crime and domestic violence has increased. So what we want to see is the government actually come clean on the review and talk about the measures that they are looking at for way more past 1 year of data, which is obviously pre-COVID.
No, the report does include COVID times. In fact, the report says that COVID has had a greater, it's been greater in the reduction of alcohol-related harm than the minimum floor price, citing, I think there was a 15% decline in alcohol supply between quarter 2 in 2019 and quarter 2 in 2020.
So what it also states, Adam, is that people are switching from cask wine to spirits. I think that's on page 46 of that report. It actually says a significant slope increase in spirits. I mean, what we know is that that's actually a worse outcome, because when you have cask wine, which is in sort of silver soft bottles, or you have beer, which is in cans, that gets consumed, and we've seen it around our streets. When the litter is there. Whereas now, what we're seeing instead of cans and silver bags is actually bottles of spirits and like hard liquor. So that is not a better outcome. It just means that we've got less sales on one side and more sales on the other.
The ED presentations also dropped in Tennant Creek and Alice Springs, but both Alice and Tennant have those police auxiliary liquor inspectors positioned at bottle shops. Doesn't that prove that the pallies are effective and are needed in Greater Darwin?
Yeah, look, and the pallies are actually the thing that is making the real difference in those regional areas, like you've just said. I mean, in Darwin, the hospital presentations actually increased, not decreased.
What does the CLP propose to do? What would you propose to do, were you in government in 18 months' time, to reduce alcohol-related harm in the Territory?
Well, we've always said that we would scrap the minimum floor price, because we see that all it does is switch from cask wine to spirits. And of course, we'd review the BDR as well. And we think that people that have problems with alcohol need real solutions and real treatment. I mean, at the end of the day, the fact that Natasha Files has come out and hailed this report as a success and says all the numbers are decreasing, it just shows just shows me that she's not actually speaking to her community. She's not actually walking around in her own electorate, let alone the rest of the territory. I mean, I know even here in Palmerston, where I am, we are forever cleaning up the parks and the public spaces. Like, as a community, we do it all together. And what I have absolutely noticed is it really has shifted from cleaning up those cans and those silver bags to cleaning up glass bottles, not only full bottles, intact bottles that are empty, but also smashed glass. Now, if you think about smashed glass everywhere, all over our parks and our public spaces, the community take a long time to clean that up. And when you have contractors who go in there and clean up the glass where the community just can't do it because there is so much, that also adds to cost, time. It's horrendous. And what worries me even further, Adam, is that the alcohol fuel assaults, and when you have, instead of cans and bags, you have glass, that becomes a weapon, which is awful. And as I said, in Darwin, those hospitalisation rates have increased.
Yeah, but what would the CLP propose to do to reduce alcohol-related harm in the Northern Territory? You've said that you'd scrap the minimum floor price, that you would review the BDR. What would you do to reduce the alcohol-related harm? Not what you wouldn't do, what would you do?
There needs to be a lot of work done with the alcohol treatment. There's sobering up shelters. Those presentations have increased as well. Like, there's so much work that needs to be done there. There needs to be work on health, in our housing, and all the things that contribute to alcohol harm.